Hello, guys. Today's episode will be on bias. I've been getting a lot of questions, especially on biases. You're not sure, and I understand all of that. So, today I'll be explaining everything. So, the basics of my bias is top to bottom. So, if we have a higher time frame range like this, what I'll be waiting for is a close inside, or I would look to enter on the turtle soup. Then, usually, what happens is we can either go back all the way to the range, bounce off, and then in the last quarter we fail, restart a new range, and then finish the job. So this is something that pretty much always happens. There's a few scenarios, and you should remember to not pattern trade. If you just see this and you're blindly entering, you're doing it wrong. That's where a lot of your losses will come from. So every time you get a range, especially a higher time frame one, what you want to do is divide it into quarters. So as you can see, we create the turtle soup. What can happen next? We create the intra turtle soup, move lower, in the last quarter fail, restart a new range, and finish the job. So let's say this is a daily range, yeah? What can happen on the lower time frame is with this daily range, imagine this is a daily candle. If we have, let's say, let me draw it out for you guys. Let's say this is the daily candle. This is a weekly, and then this is the daily. So let's say this is our weekly range. The new week, let's say open above, this is daily. So if you imagine the weekly still printing here. So what can happen next is the next candle creates a power of 3, open, high, low, close here. Right, let me draw this properly. Yeah, imagine the next candle creates this. What will you be expecting for this candle? If it's opening below, you'll be expecting something like this. Restart range. However, if this happens in the last quarter, like this, all you'd be expecting is as soon as the next candle opens, trades above, finishes the job. However, if this happens around the 50%, there's a high chance the range will be fully completed. Because I know a lot of you guys struggle with this, especially today. You're looking for the wrong trades. Like, I'll explain it today, what happened. If we look at today, okay, what do we have? 2-week range, yeah? Divide it into quarters. What do you see? Drop down. Weekly doesn't really matter. Daily. Okay. Once this candle disrespects the ranges we have here, what can we expect for the next candle? To just open, high, low, close. So next candle, what we can expect is if it opens below, create a small range here on the lower time frame and go lower, because as you can see, last quarter. But what happened today? As you can see, new daily candle printed here. Is it? Yeah, new daily candle opened. We went below. Especially this is what I was talking about today. You can see we have this range. Some of you are targeting this range, and I understand what you're trying to do. If this was around the 50% around here, then yeah, that makes sense. But especially, you have to not be a pattern trader. You have to understand this. So you see, we touch into the last quarter. Okay, so what do we expect now? On the next candle print, this is where you like to exit. If you see the 2 hour was cleaner, hit, from this candle, especially once it closes here, this was perfect. Because you see, okay, let me get rid of the noise. Where is it? Okay, you see here, you don't really see anything. You just see on the 1 hour, we went higher, closed inside. This is a red flag for any longs. If you're targeting this range, this is a big red flag. So then on the 2 hour, if we go, what do we see? We have this 2 hour range. We created in the morning, I left this. So if you go on the lower time frame, what would your entry be? If you're confident in the shorts, this is a good entry point. Like anywhere around here. But specifically what I like to look for in reversals or certain swing highs or lows would be this. Especially this is what I traded today. So as you can see, from the bottom to the top, what do you see? 215, not the low, 230, 245, 3 a.m., 315, 330, 345, nothing yet. Then 4 a.m., the new 2 hour candle opens. So imagine this was the 2 hour candle before. So that's 4 a.m., so 2 a.m. opened here. So this is what the previous 2 hour candle looks like right now. Something like this way. 4 a.m. here. This is what the previous candle was looking like. So if you clearly see that the new candle, how it's opening, is like this, especially with a shorter, higher time frame target, what would you be expecting to happen? And it happened perfectly today. So if this is how the candle opens, right above, and you see the time here, 4:45 this is. So if we make the high at 4:45, keep in mind that this is 15 minutes before the new 5 a.m. candle, new 4 hour candle print. This is a good entry point. You're at the top of the range. Plus you've made a failure swing here. And this confirms it. You see here? Bang. And this is why I traded today. It was a clear and easy setup. In London, there was nothing much offered for me. But back to bias. So you see 4:45. What is the chance of this high being taken? Even if this candle sweeps it, that's a new 4 hour turtle soup and it will still go lower. Because all we need on 2 hour, as you can see, is once we create a new range, that range will be the one completed. After this, there's no need to be trading more unless you see something happen before the 9 a.m. Okay, we've had these longs here, but literally no entry point, and it's against our bias. This is where we are right now as well. Let me get a free play. Nothing here either to entertain, but I am still expecting this 2 week to be the target. Last quarter still. We'll see how we open at night, but tomorrow should be clean. We're still quite far. Yeah, 50 something percent, 58%. Still quite far, but let's go back to a different day. Let me delete all this. Let's go back to, let's see. I want to go back to last week somewhere. Okay, last week Monday. What was our bias here? Pretty sure it was higher. 3 day or something. Yeah, it was this gap. So let's go candle by candle. How would you find the bias here? as you can see, 3-day, we had this range. And I marked this out publicly so you know it's not cherry picked or anything. This is actually some live examples of what I have taken. Daily, okay. How is the daily opening? You see, the Monday traded lower. So what you can see is, if we go, why is it lagging? What time is this? 4 a.m., 5 a.m. Probably had a daily range or something. Yeah, it was this. This is how you should analyze always, top to bottom. You see the daily has a range. You see we're opening above on the range as well. If we go back to the 3 a.m. candle, what do we see? 245 makes the high. We're opening above on all the ranges in the first quarter of the range. This is what I mean here. You see, we had this range here. This is what I was talking to you guys about. As you can see, we haven't reached the last quarter yet. So we can expect deep retracements. This is why I don't like entering in the zone. I would like to enter 25%, 0%, or in the last quarter around here. Or once we've touched the last quarter and around here. That's why I tell you guys, do not look for entries around here towards your direction. Reversals, I understand, because let's say this was a range, yeah, we would have completed it here. That's clear. But especially here, you see 245 makes the high. What do we see? 3 a.m. opens. And on this candle, I think it's clear that we're going lower. 245 makes the high. You can even drop down. Here, 255 makes the high. This is a clear failure swing. I'll be teaching you guys failure swings in a separate episode. It'll be a short one, but just to make sure you know the times and everything on how I use it. As you can see, yep. This is why I mentioned earlier as well, failure swings are really important. 245, 3 a.m. failure swing. Preferably you want to enter on the next candle power 3. So let's say you enter like here, your target here, or even here. This is what it all should depend on. Let's say your stop loss is above the failure swing. This could be 3R, but if you're targeting here to be safer, put your stop loss around the top of the range. That's 3.6R. This isn't just cherry picked. I literally just traded this as well. So even exiting in the gap is fine, but if you want to be safe, this is what usually could happen. And it has happened previously to me. And let's say you see this 4-hour range. You have the failure swing here. Yeah? What could happen? You see here, once we've taken this 4-hour range, it could just stop you out at break even. That's why I like to take partials along the way. Even though this is the main target, sometimes it could just go higher into here and then go lower. I would like to show you guys a restarted range. If I can find it. No. Maybe 4-hour would be easier to show. Okay, here's a good example. Same thing. So as you see here, we still have the same target here. But what can you see? Our target would still be the daily, I think it was. Yeah. Yeah, our target would still be the daily. But if we look here, where were we? As I said, 50% level. So this was still late in the PM session, but just based of this, you know what to expect in London because this is perfect. Okay, you see this candle here. You see how we created a new range higher. If this happened here, what usually would happen, like today it happened, this candle would be enough to go lower. However, we're around the 50%. So what can you expect? You can expect the high of this candle to be taken. And that's when we'll make the move. As you can see, that's exactly what happened here. Perfection. Okay, what else can I speak about? Just remember, guys, to note this, yeah? I will tell you the times now that I've noted. Just take a picture of this or whatever you prefer. So at the end, and this is the same for the 1 hour, but just so sometimes, especially for DXY 4 hour failure swings, you want to look at 10:45, 2:45, 6:45, and 10:45 during sessions. And for Euro, you would like to look at what times is it again? 20, or so basically 9 p.m., 1 a.m., 5 a.m., 9 a.m. You want to usually look at them because especially today was a great example. If you look at the Euro, 4:45, where was it? Nah, that's Monday. Go back. 4:45, where was it? Yeah, this candle. You see how it sweeps? That means that the 5 a.m. has already made the failure swing. So if you look at the 4 hour chart here, this is what you would see. New range restarted to go higher. This is why there's no need to go lower now. A lot of you guys tried trading from here, but this is invalid. If you see, there's clearly a wick here. Let me make that black for you so you can see it. Yeah. If you saw this, would you have been trading lower now? I don't think so. Especially, you see here, this is why people miss out. If you see, failure swing. Now, if you draw it properly, you have a wick here. But make sure to always only analyze DXY. I cannot stress this enough. If the DXY doesn't show anything, literally like here, we just trade inside the candle. Why would you want to trade inside of this? If one side gets swept, then yeah, you want to go higher. But if, especially if this high gets swept, then it's an easy short opportunity towards here. But as you can see, nothing is going on. The market is basically just telling you, do not look for anything. 1 hour, same thing. There's nothing to trade. Unless you maybe enter here. Let me actually check this. Yeah, it's still not valid to me. 8 a.m. You could enter this, but I mean, it isn't high probability. If we look at London today as well, yeah, unless you've been in from the 2 a.m. or 3 a.m. power free, and you exited with the failure swing, which let me just tell you wouldn't be much, maybe like 20 pips. That's why I never entertained it, because I knew sooner or later the next candle would just open above, go below. Um, every single time you look at charts, especially for London, how is the 3 a.m. opening? Is it opening above on the 4 hour or below? A lot of times you'll see this if you look at 1 a.m. candle. This was probably a failure swing as well. Let me just double check for you guys. But 1 a.m. Monday, if I look at 1 a.m. 12:45, 0:45, 1 a.m. Should be a failure swing. 1 a.m. Oh, because the 2 a.m. was a failure swing. Okay, that makes sense. So if you saw this already, this just means this has been already taken with the 2 a.m. candle. So maybe 2 hour. Not 2 a.m. Maybe 1 hour. Yeah. As you can see, open below, closed above. This is a failure swing here. This is one thing you have to be aware of before you enter the charts and start looking at ranges. Always look at the lower time frame. Is there any failure swings? Because you could get messed up. Literally, like here, let's say London opens here. You're like, oh, we're going to go to this gap. Wrong. If you have a failure swing like that, you don't really want to be entertaining longs. You literally have a clear target here, I think it was. Yeah, 12-hour range. How clean is this? If you already saw this in the market, 4 hour here. If you already saw on the lower time frame as you woke up, this has already happened, and let's say we're around here. What's the probabilities of us going back higher than lower? This is what you have to think about, guys. Like, I know it's hard sometimes, especially if you're new, and I know I didn't trade this, I don't think, because this happened like as I woke up pretty much. But if you're aware of these things, it will make your trading a lot more easier. The best swing points, especially if you see certain swing points created at around these, when the candle ends at this time and a swing point is created, that's when it's highest probability. If you see swing points around half past created, you don't want to entertain these. These are highest probability swing points. If we go, hold on. One thing I always like to look at as well, around midday, the 8 hour new candle opens and the previous one closes, and sometimes with the close of the previous one, it gives us the direction. Like let's say here, you see around, no, it was here. When was it? 9 a.m. Yeah, it gives us the direction usually for the rest of the session sometimes. Because I know after a long day on charts, you don't want to be in the wrong direction and lose everything you've made in the day. So just be careful. You have to keep analyzing. I would suggest every hour just go top to bottom. Another thing I wanted to talk about, Euro GBP. Like if sometimes I used to get confused. Which one do I trade, Euro or the GBP? Euro GBP is something you always have to look at. Every day I would say, you don't have to keep looking at it. I would just say, analyze the most probable direction for the day. As you can see here, what's the probability of this going higher. Like, you have a gap. How simple can it be? From here, it's not as easy to predict, but having the gap just makes it easier. But I think that's pretty much it for bias. Just remember to take a picture of this one. It should be simple enough to understand if I draw this. Difference between a pending and restarted range. This is a pending range. And then I'll draw a restarted range beside it. Let me just extend this a bit to make it easier to draw. These are the differences. So if you see this, let me just quickly write it down. Write this in your notebooks. So if you see here how we're opening, around the 50%, when the new candle opens, sometimes it goes above to create the wick, the power free of the candle, stop people out, and then finally completes the move. And here, as you can see, around the 50%, what happens? We open below, close inside. Where's the next target? This. But remember, this is only active around the 50%. And then we open with the new candle to finish the job. But one more thing, as I explained earlier, if this happens in the last quarter of the range, let's draw it out. As you can see, we don't complete the target, we fail last quarter. What the next candle will do is this exactly. Doesn't finish the range and just finishes it by itself. Remember this, always write it down. In the last quarter, do not look for reversals. Only look to enter towards the direction after this has happened. This will probably be a turtle sweep or a failure swing, but just make sure you keep that in mind. Because if it happens here, yes, I understand. We'll restart here and whatever. But if it happens below, then you don't want to entertain it. So this will be it for the bias video. I hope you learned something. If you have any questions, I can make extra videos for you about it. But I'll see you tomorrow. Well, I'll still create the daily review for today, but other than that, I'll see you tomorrow. Thank you.